Hello, and welcome to Dicey Deep Dive, a This Could Get Dicey talkback episode where your favorite group of buds gets to unwind from their D&D podcast and dive into the latest happenings and answer questions from listeners like you. I'm Kenny Chilton, and today is a beautiful day to play some trivia again.
Woo! I was hoping. I was like, there better be trivia.
Destiny, I still haven't got my prize.
I read your mind. Your prize is coming into play right now.
Oh.
Okay, Destiny.
Yes.
You have advantage tonight in this trivia, which means you have the benefit of hearing Becky and Alex's answers first for every question.
Okay.
Okay. Is that a good prize?
I guess. No, it's a pretty good prize.
Okay. All right. So, listeners, we'll tell you why in a second, but tonight's episode is money themed, everyone, just for this trivia. Money themed trivia.
Money themed.
I have in front of me the Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition player's handbook.
Oh God.
We're gonna really push our limits of the rules and such tonight. I'm gonna name an item that you can find in this very handbook, and you are gonna tell me how much you think that item costs.
Okay.
Whoever's closest gets the point.
You're doing Price is Right rules?
No,
yeah,
you can go over.
over.
Fuck that shit. You can go over if you want to.
Okay.
Boo.
Okay. All right. You got these first 3 items are kind of all in a bunch because they all do the same amount of damage. Okay? The first item is a great club. How much do you think a great club costs, Becky?
20 gold pieces.
Okay, Becky says 20. Alex?
10 gold pieces.
10 gold pieces. Destiny, what do you say?
I'm gonna say $1, Bob.
That's a 1. Destiny, point for you. The correct answer is 2 silver pieces.
I was gonna be like, it's either one of those that's like it costs like you just have to spit in my face and I'll sell it to you.
One of my favorite things about D&D is how terrible the cost and money system is. This is gonna reveal some of those plot holes tonight. Next item, again, same amount of damage. Short bow.
20 gold pieces.
But sticking with it.
It's gonna be right eventually.
I will raise to 12 gold pieces.
Okay.
You said 20, Becky?
Yeah.
And 12. I'm gonna go 5.
Okay. Becky, point for you.
Yes.
The correct answer is 25 gold pieces.
Yes.
Okay. Last one in this category. Hand crossbow. How much does a hand crossbow cost? Alex, you go first this time.
45 gold pieces.
Okay. Becky?
15 gold pieces.
15, all right. Quite a spread.
I'm gonna go 60.
Great job, Destiny. The advantage is kicking in. You got it right. It's 75 gold pieces for a hand crossbow. They all do 1d6 damage, by the way.
Interesting.
Oh, sorry, 1d8 damage.
I guess the hand bows take a lot more skills to make because there's like a mechanical element to them. Yeah.
Seems kind of silly, though. All right. This next category is super fun. How much does 1,000 ball bearings cost?
We should know this because we just bought this in Alex's campaign,
I was about to say, I have this in my inventory in that other campaign.
I know they're pretty cheap. I'm going to say 5 gold pieces.
Okay.
50 gold pieces.
Okay.
I'm going to say 25.
Just to recap, Becky, you said 5.
Yeah.
Alex said 50, and Destiny said 25. Okay. Becky, that's another point for you. It's 1 gold piece for 1,000 of these little bad boys. Next item. A spyglass.
1,000 gold pieces.
Okay. Becky's going way up to 1,000.
I think I remember it being a very high number. I think I'm going to go 500.
Okay.
1,001, Bob.
Destiny. good strategy. But Becky, point to you. It's exactly 1,000 gold pieces. Becky has that one
I knew
locked
this
in.
one was gonna come up because it's the weird one where it's like everything on that page is like 5 gold,
Regular
maybe
ass stuff,
50, 100, and then this one's like 1,000 gold pieces. Good luck finding it, loser. Like,
Okay.
It's like, do you want a level 1 enchanted like piece of like magical weapon or something, or do you want binoculars?
do you want a curved piece of glass?
How about you're kind of getting on to my next question. This next one we're not going to answer in money, okay? This next one, you're going to tell me how many donkeys would I have to give you for you to give me a spyglass and it'd be equal? How many donkeys does a spyglass cost?
Get my calculator out.
I love math, but everyone, just so you know, and this is a fun math question.
If Bobby had 5 donkeys, how much of a percentage of the spyglass could he afford?
I have my answer.
I'm gonna say you need 50 donkeys.
Okay, 50 donkeys.
Based off a quick calculation, I think you need 166.66 repeating donkeys.
All right, Destiny.
I think you need 1 demon donkey that was under Nanoxis's grasp.
Okay. That's a good guess, but unfortunately, they gave the ultimate cost their lives for that, so that answer is not going to count. Alex, how many donkeys did you say? 166?
Yeah.
And Becky, you said 50?
50, yeah.
Alex is closest. The correct answer is 125 donkeys.
And I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to get on the board. I want to thank God. I want to thank my family.
So how much do donkeys cost?
A donkey costs 8 gold.
8 gold. I did 6 gold.
Y'all need to value these donkeys higher.
I don't know, dude. Very last one.
Almost equivalent,
Binoculars.
1,000 ball bearings or a donkey. Almost the same cost.
I could get 8,000 ball bearings or one little burro. How many points do you all have right now?
I think I have
Uno.
2.
I think I have
it's
2 as
2
well.
to 1. Okay, sure. Last question. How much does a warship cost?
Oh, God. Right. Bring it back to when we did the Ghost of Salt Marsh campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, Destiny, and I did.
I'm going to go 60,000 gold pieces.
Okay, 60,000, 60K.
I'm going to go 300,000.
300K for Becky. So somewhere between 60 and 300, maybe, Destiny? I don't know. What do you think?
5 donkeys.
5
6
donkeys. 2 ball bearings. Oof. I think. Wait, what was the highest number?
300,000.
Ooh, 150.
150.
It's like 150,000.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure.
300,000.
150 silver.
Alex, you
150
said 60,000?
copper.
I said 60,000.
60,000 is the closest. Although it's not saying much because the correct answer is 25,000 gold.
What the heck?
Oh.
So for 25 spyglasses.
So you could get 25 spyglasses or a warship?
This is the economy of D&D, folks. It is a 3-way tie here, 2 to 2. None of you get an advantage next time. Sorry, losers. But the reason why, everyone, we are doing a money-themed trivia today is because we are also, or have recently, or will be recently, depending on when you listen to this, dropping our Patreon. Yeah! Woo, 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 woo. We have been making this show for a little over a year now. We've heard from lots of you. We've loved doing it. And now we come to you hat in hand, hoping to continue making this show for many more years. My first question in tonight's D&D is about this thing, Becky, that we're talking about, Patreon. Becky, question for you from me.
Okay.
What would it mean to you for people to subscribe to our Patreon?
Oh my God. I mean, it's like, it's a dream come true to be able to make something that you like love making and then get paid to do that. So like for instance, I have my like leather working, and it has meant so much to be able to like make something and enjoy making it, and then someone's like, I want to give you money because I like what you're doing. So it would, I mean, this is a terrible long-winded response of it would warm my heart, it would bring tears to my eye, it would just, I mean, encourage me to keep going, and knowing that people like what we're doing enough to, you know, want to throw a little money our way and say keep on going. It would mean all that.
That's very nice, Becky. What about also in addition to that for the show itself? Like, what might people subscribing do to This Could Get Dicey, the show?
I think it would. I mean, it would let us know people like this and that we should keep going. And so I think it, you know, it would cement that we should keep making this, as well as then give us some money to maybe buy better microphones, or to be able to make more content for you all. You know, if people are willing to give us $5, then we'll be willing to spend an extra couple hours a week, you know, making something else for people to enjoy. So I think it's a way for us to improve the media that we're making, as well as to maybe make more.
Agreed. Hear. Let's jump into the actual podcast itself. So this episode, everyone, is going to be it's going to be about our first arc of the show, the Mistfall arc. So some listeners are saying, hey, it'd be great to have like a recap of the events of that first arc for those of us who are like caught up and keeping up. So we're going to spend some time just talking about our first 30-ish episodes, everything from beginning of the show until the party leaves Mistfall. My first question is, it's going to be for each of us, Alex, Destiny, Kenny. Some character stuff that people were wondering. A listener sent in, it would be helpful to get like a recap on the characters and their powers and what level everyone's at and what that means. Specifically, Ellis, maybe you can start. Alex, this listener said, I feel like he has a ton of powers and spells. I don't know how much is because of his class or Noxus. So some listeners are interested in that kind of power breakdown and where your abilities are come from. Can everyone just give like a quick recap of your character?
Yeah, super quick. Currently, I am a Bard 3 Warlock 2. No, I'm a Bard 4 Warlock 2, but that's in the exiting the Mistfall campaign. I believe I was a Bard 3 Warlock 2.
Can you say what that means?
Oh, yeah. I am multi-classing. I started off as a Bard. Just a College of Eloquence, and one of the best features of College of Eloquence, I get the Silver Tongue, so my deception and persuasion checks, like whenever I roll a d20 for deception or persuasion, it can't be below 10. I also get Unsettling Words, which I haven't used in a bit, but for a bonus action, I can use 1 Bardic Inspiration, and I can basically make an enemy subtract a bardic roll from their next roll, as opposed to normal bardic inspiration, which is helping your allies and helping them add a roll. But yeah, those are my two main like kind of bard feats. But other than that, you've seen my warlock spells, you've seen my bard spells. I be casting Eldritch Blast a whole bunch,
and that's a warlock thing, right? Eldritch Blast.
That is a warlock thing. Right now, because of my level, I'm able to cast it I'm able to cast 2 beams now, which is nice. But during the Mistfall arc, I think, Becky, what episode did I become a warlock off the top of your head? Was that like
probably like 10?
10? I was thinking like 10 to 15 around like that time.
I question, Alex, because I should know this, but I don't. What Noxus is classified as, like, what we say he was like a
Archfey.
He's an Archfey. And then, do you have a pact with him? Like a pact of the boon? No. I'm just making up words.
Yeah, I'm not at, because I'm still Warlock 2, I believe. I'm not at the pacts yet.
Okay, because you're Bard 4,
Warlock 2. So, like, I just got with Warlock 2, level 2, I got, what are they called with Agonizing Blasts?
Eldritch Invocations.
Eldritch Invocations. Yeah. Thank you, Becky. The Eldritch Invocations is what allows me to cast Agonizing Blast and do Mask of Many Faces. I'm not used to spell casting, and it's a lot of spells. I haven't even cast all my spells yet.
So it seems like the warlock stuff, the stuff from Noxus is like, I'm going to hurt you. And the bard stuff is like, you're affecting people's wills, essentially.
Yeah, so all that, and also like all my blindness, deafness. I mentioned at some point in the episode I got a new spell. It's silence. I just haven't casted silence yet. Kind of like debuff. My bard spells are very like debuff spells, while my warlock spells are a little bit more damage based.
Destiny, what about you? Tell us, like, recap Loomis for us.
Yeah, Loomis is a vampire, and he is a monk, and the monk type or class, or I don't like how Alex has colleges for bard. Monks have certain things that are not called colleges, but I don't know what they're called. Anyways, I have Way of the Long Death. So I just thought it was fitting, being a vampire that can't die, kind of play on death and dying and use that as the way he learns how to punch and poke things, I guess you could say. I don't remember what level Loomis ended at the end of the Mistfall arc, but Loomis is now level 6.
I think we were level 5 when y'all left.
Okay, so not much has changed in the sense of what Loomis can do. I think as I'm learning how to be a monk, this is the first time I've played a character like this, and it seems just as like every 2 levels you go up, you just get to punch more, which is really nice. And I mean, that's what Loomis does. He punches things with his fist or pokes things with his spear.
I was going to say, for clarification, your superior body and like your ability to walk on the ceiling and things like that, that's because you're a vampire.
Correct. Yeah, I was going to get into that. So specifically, like, very just class monk, poking creatures and things with my spear and punching is from being a monk. Extra bonus from being a vampire, my race is the superior body, which is technically, I think, a feat, right, Becky? That was from this. I don't know if it was necessarily homebrewed vampire, but I think when building Loomis, Becky and I sat down and we're like, okay, this random vampire build that we found is a little bit broken. What can we pick and choose from here and kind of make it work so that it's fun and it's not just, you know, like I said, broken. So yeah, the superior body is from that, which I know Becky loves for me to ask if I can do things because of that. It's like one of my favorite things that I have for Loomis, because it's a very vampire thingy to have. So it's really fun to play on that. I think another obvious thing from being a vampire is that technically Loomis can't die. It is very difficult. There's a lot of stipulations to actually kill a vampire. But kind of turning into that, if I do go down in HP, so if I drop down to 0, I turned into that mist form, which is, I think, another kind of thing that Becky and I kind of tweaked a little bit, in the sense of just like, okay, you can't die, but then that's also kind of broken. So what can we do to do that? Because I think originally, in one of the things that we found was that, like, if I turn to miss, no one could heal me, and it was like an interesting way to heal. Becky, I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah, if you turn into mist in the original, like, I guess in vampire lore, you immediately go back to your coffin.
Oh god.
And we were like, that's a little broken, but we don't hate that. So there is a mechanic that is like a secret between Destiny and I, that there is a way for Loomis to end up back in their coffin, but it was not instant, because we were like, that could be so like campaign breaking to be like, oh no, yeah, Loomis went down, okay, they're a continent away now.
Oh,
like, no. It would just like off-road the campaign like so easily.
Terrible third episode or whatever.
Right, but we thought it would be a good, it's like still, I think, a really fun and interesting trait for Loomis to have, and so there is a way for Loomis to end up back in their coffin, but it just hasn't happened yet. So
don't tell me.
I don't want to know. It's
Yeah.
good that the two of you were talking so much, Becky and Destiny, because this is a follow-up question for Destiny specifically and Becky. This listener pointed out an inconsistency.
Uh-oh.
Said
Only one?
just the one. Becky and Destiny called Loomis Lou several times in episodes 1 and 2, but not so much since then. Is that intentional, an accident? What happened to this fun little nickname, they asked?
I don't remember ever
Hey.
doing that.
Great question. Same.
There you go, listeners. That's the kind of depth we
I
bring
guess.
to you here.
If I had to guess, I would say maybe whenever I was writing my backstory and writing things for Becky to review, I got tired of writing Loomis because Loomis has the umlaut and then the apostrophe afterwards.
Yeah,
so
as
then
the
it
person
just
who writes all the episode descriptions, it's pretty annoying.
I'm lucky enough that my phone and computer has recognized that I say Loomis so much now that it just auto writes it the way I want it.
And then
Yes.
last question for you, Destiny. Can you tell us anything more about Loomis's necklace, or is it too much of a secret still?
Nah, you're gonna have to listen and find out.
All right, that question was from me.
Surprise! I'm
Surprise! What a
meditating.
shock!
And then for Emil is a human. His race is human. He's gonna age like a human. He's a regular dude. Except the class was a homebrewed one that I had found online and asked Becky if I could play in this campaign. She said yes. It's a mutant. It's kind of based on the idea that you will, as you progress in level, your the person side of you becomes less of who you are, and the mutant side of you becomes more of who you are. So as Emil goes up in level, he'll gain more abilities, but also become more mutant-like, which I'm trying to play by, Emil's fear of becoming sicker, essentially. He's level 6 as well at this point. The biggest things that happen is that he can do things like heal himself and heal others through floral means. Emil has it's called the Flora subclass that gives him a lot of abilities to heal. By touching people, he can touch himself and heal himself. He has bark hands that stab people. Yeah, I know he touched himself. I know. Yeah. Other than that, it's kind of like if I put it all on paper, the class is actually pretty simple. It's the way you a lot of it has to be role play, I think, in terms of adding flavor to this class of is the person afraid of it? Are they hyped about this ability? And so it was really helpful for Becky in this arc to show what the final stage of this might look like, because I think it gives Emil a really nice grounded fear of what he's becoming.
Yeah, I really like the idea of classes that are almost mechanically based in role play.
Mm-hmm.
I often compare it's nice to come in with a crutch. I think coming in with a crutch kind of embedded into your character is a really interesting choice. I think a lot about in another campaign that Becky, Kinney, and I are in. I'm playing an Oathbreaker Paladin, and it's nice to have something almost mechanically weighing down on your shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's a really interesting choice.
Yeah, it's super fun. A lot of drama built in, which is nice. Before we move on to another part of today's talk show, Becky, one question for you. Someone was asking just kind of where did Drugala, the world, and cities like Mistfall, where do you get ideas? How did you come up with these places?
Let's see. I think the name of Drugala, couldn't tell you the origin language, but I remember it has something the root Drew, Dreu, I think is dragon in one of the languages, and then Gala, I think is probably world somewhere, so it's dragon world or something like that. Because the first time we used the world of Drugala was a short campaign I did with Alex and some of our friends, in which they helped kind of create some of the origin history and lore within the continent of Aegea, which we haven't gone to yet, which was based around a lot of dragon, they got their magic from dragons and things like that. So that was kind of the start there, and then really it's just kind of been like I've been messing around a lot with the idea then of like the continents each representing different ways of magic, and for the cities, I take inspiration from to play a lot of video games, watch a lot of movies, and Mistfall I think was based a lot on like Lothlorien from Lord of the Rings, and a lot of like traditional elven depictions. I think Venzor was sort of based on a lot of one of the cities from Dragon Age Inquisition, as well as I can't remember the name of it, but a lot of like the cities as well in Witcher 3. So really just taking a lot of inspiration from other games to kind of be like, this was a cool city because it was embedded within trees, or this was a cool city because like politicians sort of like run it versus like thieves guilds versus, things like that. So yeah. And then taking inspiration then from like where they're placed. Like I like the idea of Mistfall being right next to a waterfall, and that mist would fall from said water and go across the city. I mean, that's how people name things in, when they came to America and colonized. They were like, we're near this river. Or like, we're from York. Let's call it New York. So, people take inspiration from where they're from or where they are putting their homes. So
it's very nice playing in Drugala because it's a world that you made up, and there's no like preconceived notions of what any place should be like. Playing in other campaigns where like I'm using established settings, someone might already have like a connection to the city of, let's say, Neverwinter in Faerun. So like using that is kind of difficult sometimes because I'm trying to like establish my own world, but there's already these like existing histories behind a place like that. But it's like, who the fuck knows what's in Ursa and Nor? We've never heard of that. Or, Mistfall or whatever. These are all unique places, which is fun. My next question is for Alex. And it is, what would it mean to you for people to subscribe to our Patreon?
Wow, Kenny, great question. As somebody who has been a creative for a good healthy chunk of their lives, you'd be surprised how little financial support comes out of pursuing the arts, whether it be music or theater or film or podcasting, and the little sprouts of moments in this sort of late stage capitalistic society that we live in. Man, boy, howdy, does a little bit of financial recognition yield just mini fruit. It's validation that what you're doing is impactful to people. It helps give you the confidence to keep going. Supporting art that you care about across the board, not just this podcast, but any art that you love. You'd be surprised how the littlest amount can change someone's entire mindset on the art that they're creating. It affects their mood, it affects their productivity, it affects everything they do. So when you support a small artist, like This Could Get Dicey, you're not only helping support a podcast that you love, you're also really helping the mental state and the emotional levels of the people creating it.
Yes.
And in a world filled with so much bad stuff all the time, it's nice to spread a little good stuff.
That's an excellent answer. As someone who does like a lot of other things besides just play a character on the podcast, what else would a Patreon mean for you as like, music maker and also audio engineer, etc.?
Oh, I mean, yeah, kind of like what Becky said. I'm really inspired by really high quality sounding like radio plays and audiobooks that have all sorts of different like sound. Like it's one thing to have like music, but like sound effects and soundscaping. It's like a whole big world that I'm barely dipping my toes into. And I've also learned it's an expensive world. Trying to find violins that sound like really like people are playing those violins. It can cost a pretty penny. So just overall improving y'all's experience of listening to the podcast, us sounding better, the music sounding better, feeling more engrossed in the world that Becky has created. all of your support can go towards this product that we make for y'all.
Thank you, Alex. Let's jump back into the world of Drugala. Okay, so the beginning of the campaign, kind of recapping the Mistfall arc. We meet our characters. They've got some cool shit going on. We get to Mistfall. Let's focus on kind of that beginning stages of getting to know each other as characters and the world. I have some kind of like fun little questions that people sprinkled in. For example, back to you, Alex, right away. Where did the term fool come from? Did you have that pre-planned in your character, or was that an ad-lib?
Nothing I've ever said from Ellis is pre-planned.
As it should be.
I think the English language is so the colloquialisms and slang. I was very fortunate to grow up around a lot of different varying types of slang, and incorporating that and bringing that in whenever I can. It's not like fucking the word fool is like, oh, this is an Alex original. It's just growing up where I grew up, it was a very endearing term to call somebody. It's also could be a very bad term to call somebody. But yeah, that's where fool comes from.
Yeah, I feel like it's
956.
something Alex just says. So it was one of those moments where the lines blurred between Ellis and Alex.
It's very Alex, for sure.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
To you, Becky, this person was like dead set. I asked this person, like I followed up and was like, which question do you want me to ask the most? And the question they said they wanted me to ask the most was, why would you create immersion months but not weekdays? I promise this one was not me.
Okay. Honestly, I forgot. And then it was like, well, it's go time.
Love that.
So that was, I don't know.
I mean, in your defense, Becky, coming up with entirely new month names for a calendar year is
hard. It's hard.
And in a campaign that I'm DMing currently, I have a calendar that is January, February, March, April, May, and every month is 30 days long, and that's just what it is.
The fact that you all get a calendar at all is like, you should be happy.
Right. Honestly, I forgot. And then I was also like, in my mind, I was like, did people in like the 1400s call it like today's Monday? Like, would you just call it like today is the first day of this month, the second day? So I was like, we'll just do the days of the week. Yeah. So that way there's at least some levels of familiarity. But yeah, I really, honestly, truly, I just forgot. And then it was like showtime and I was like, oh God.
It's Thursday.
Yeah. Sorry.
Destiny, no, it's okay. It sets the tone. We got some immersion and some not. Destiny, question for you. Oh, sorry. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, it's helpful. I'd rather just go with what we know, because then I'd definitely be asking of like, oh, it's Moose Day? Is that related to like Tuesday, the normal calendar day?
Yeah, I did try to keep the months like you could
Thematic,
Wind
yeah.
Crisp,
Yeah.
September, and then like Hallow Moon, October. So I tried to keep them similar enough to like our own months that you could connect the dots, because that's the other worry is like when you get too far into immersion. This is not our full-time job, so expecting the three of y'all and myself to be like, okay, what day of the week is it? Okay, what at noon do people say it's high noon, or do they say something else? Or I don't, like all these, the deep lore within here. It's a lot to ask of people.
Thank God it's slime days.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Got a real case of the flump days.
Burl's Day, I'm in love. Destiny, this listener said, the first action we see Loomis take after getting out of their bindings is ignoring the other two people on the ground and going to get their necklace.
Back to the necklace. This is
this is not about the
listener
necklace.
you.
This is not about the necklace. Their question is, you've mentioned before that you're a people pleaser in real life. So what is it like trying to play a character that is sometimes negligent of other people's feelings?
Good question.
That's a great question. It's a lot of fun. But also
We can tell.
Yeah, you're enjoying yourself too much.
I'm enjoying myself a little too much. but also like difficult because it's just I think all of us might have had this like dilemma of just like, oh, I Destiny would do this in this situation, but right now I am not Destiny, I'm Loomis, or I'm whatever D&D character you're playing. So not gonna lie, it is fun, and like I said, I think at one point, like, it has been helpful of just like, as lame as it sounds, like, what would Loomis do in like the day-to-day life of just like, yeah, maybe do for yourself first instead of like pleasing others.
That's
good advice. Everyone at home,
Nice.
WWLD.
Yes.
What would Loomis do?
LU umlaut D. I had a similar question come in for me about playing Emil. Having mentioned that I hope that Emil's like some of the worst parts of me and not the best. What is it like trying to play a character that like is sometimes ignorant to what other people are thinking or what the social norms are? And Destiny, I was gonna say the exact same thing. It's like super fun to do that, and it's why like I notice when I'm like listening back to the podcast that like I often say something horrible and then I laugh at it because it's so like absurd, some of the stuff we get to say. But it's fun that we get to say it and do it in a safe
It's fun
place.
Absolutely.
to play in this space with y'all.
Yeah.
It's fun to be bad.
It's fun to be
naughty.
bad.
Okay,
Yes.
question for Kenny. What's it like being a landlord bootlicker then?
Honestly, I get it. No.
I get it, dude. I get it, dude. Sign me up, dude.
It's weird, but not it's actually not so difficult because it's such a like cartoon version of what actual people are like in most cases, I would say. So it's easy to like, I have a theater background too, so it's like easy. And specifically I have a background in like Italian clown acting, so it's like easy like commedia dell'arte, fucking characterization out the wazoo. So it's really easy for me to like put on that capitalist hat and just go to town in that way. Becky, moving ahead in the story a little bit, can we hear about like the collector and the robots? You had like hinted that there were some things that we didn't find out about the collector. Were the robots always going to be such a big deal of the plot, or did that happen because the way that it played out in the game? Was the collector meant to be such a bigger deal? Can you tell us anything about that?
Let's see. The robots were... I love like absurdist theater and like writing and all of that, and I thought, boy, what's this going to be like the goofiest thing to throw into this mansion that they're going to like stumble upon? And I was like, a candy shop with a robot inside of it. And then kind of wanted to continue that theme throughout the quote unquote dungeon. Did I intend for you all to like them, free them,
Fall in love with them.
beat the shit out of them? No. So, you know, it's one of those things where you're like, I don't know, they're goofy, but like, let's see what happens. And then that kind of then played into the collector being this sort of like scientist type and like, or like arcane scientist. And I can't get too much into the details about like how it all kind of, it all relates to the grander scheme of things. Like the plant matter somehow maybe makes these robots work along with like blood perhaps, and somebody wants that information, the same person who wanted the plant matter to begin with. So there's sort of a larger plot that's beginning to unfold, so I can't go too much into the details there.
Oh man.
But yeah, these are just Kenny questions, aren't they? They're not.
No. This one is on here. It's on the notes, I promise.
And then the collector themselves, it kind of reminded me, there was a character I used in a previous campaign with Destiny and Alex. It was that collector that like collected souls in the cages inside of
Oh yeah,
that
that was a good
house.
fight.
Oh yeah.
And it was a really cool fight, a really cool character, but they died like right away. And they're like, dang, I wish we could have like seen more about them. And so this time kind of taking the approach of like, go see his whole house before you ever see him. instead of him like greeting you at the door. And that was kind of like the idea behind the collector. But yeah.
That's cool. This is a question for Becky, but also for everybody. Can you give your thoughts on what the robots are up to since we said goodbye? People are this was like a question submitted multiple times. Everyone's very worried about the robots. Is everyone cool?
I picture them all being just happy at the squirrel's folly, and yeah, just happy in the kitchen and hanging out, and I don't picture anything bad happening to them.
I picture that every month from now on in the Squirrel's Folly, there's like the Employee of the Month wall, and every picture is like the three of them.
Three of them?
Like
Yes.
arm in arm, just
Yeah.
doing a robot smile.
I haven't thought about. I can't believe Emil wasn't more interested in like automated free work, like employees. I wish I had shown more interest in that. So he might
Still
not be done.
opportunity.
Yeah, he might
Yeah.
not be done with this thread. Destiny, question for you: what would it mean for you for people to subscribe to our Patreon?
Ooh, I didn't think this was coming. When you asked that question, it kind of reminds me of when we were first planning to start all of this. Before we started our first campaign, first episode, I think even before we did like our little test episodes, we had asked each other of like, what do we want to accomplish out of this? And we're all like, oh, something fun, something accessible. And also, it'd be kind of validating if we eventually make some money off of it. So just kind of going back on what both Alex and Becky had said, it's just very validating to just have strangers / friends be like, hey, I like what you're doing. I like what you're creating. Here's a couple bucks. Thank you for the content that you put out. Unlike Alex and Becky, this is like the first creative thing that I've really put out into the ether. So yeah, I think it's just validation, just heartwarming, all warm and fuzzy inside. So that's what it would mean.
It's a shame this is the first thing you're putting out there because I think everyone I've talked to unanimously agrees you have the best podcast voice of the four of us.
Thank you.
Okay, that's beautiful. Let's jump 2 last questions here, and then we'll wrap up. This one's very logistical, actually, but I think it's important because 2 people sent it in. Some people asked about clarity on the different groups that are active, like the factions that are active in our campaign. So can you clarify the difference between the Court of Outlaws, the Citrine Delegation, and the Academy of Mistfall? Can you kind of just like give us a little rundown of the 3 of those organizations and how they are like separate entities?
Okay. So the Court of Outlaws, I see them being, there's like normal thieves and then there's organized crime, right? But so I see the Court of Outlaws sort of being like a network across the whole continent and they have different like pocket groups, and maybe those pocket groups talk to each other, maybe they don't. And so like Elizabeth is the leader of like the Mistfall pocket of the Court of Outlaws. And I sort of just see it as, back I think like thousands of years or 1,000 years ago probably, I imagine that people who were thieves or bandits or whatever had a lot more like sway in society because you could get money that way, and then you have money meant you had weight over people and blah blah blah. So I see them being like a powerful entity, but it's not necessarily like super scary, necessarily like a mafia sort of thing, but I see them being just like an organized crime that people can tap into if they need criminals with like reputation, basically. That's the Court of Outlaws. So the Citrine Delegation is sort of another network sort of thing across the whole continent and perhaps the world, in which scholars, wizards, researchers, basically like anybody who's excited by like academia would come together and be able to like share their knowledge and sort of start creating libraries or like resource centers or like ways to learn from each other. I think it's easy in Dungeons and Dragons to be like, this one person knows a lot, but it's also really selfish for that one person to know a lot and not share it with like the next person. So I saw the citrine delegation as being a way for people to be able to communicate with each other. And so I think kind of returning to the early part of the Mistfall arc, when you all went and talked to the person at the academy,
Daniel Stravich.
Yes, that she was like ticked off that Sir Quay Nithod never like brought it up, because it's one of those things where it's like, why wouldn't he just ask me directly? Like, why did he send somebody all the way over here to ask me about this flower? So so I don't know if anything necessarily like that. I guess it's taking universities almost, but like connecting them all together. And then the Academy of Mistfall is sort of just that, but would be just like a university that's sort of just within Mistfall, and where like academia is centralized there. So citrine delegation members could belong to the academy, but that's just sort of like a learning center for that area.
Becky's just like a walking encyclopedia of fucking knowledge. You just did that like off the dome, everyone.
I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh man. Last question for you all. Does this listener said, do you have a favorite fight sequence so far? I thought the chase through the woods on the way back to Mistfall was really neat and suspenseful. I have an answer right away for this.
Go for it.
For me, easy. My favorite fight sequence so far is with the collector, Conrad Davenport, falling down that like hatch with like all the furniture and shit falling around us, and trying to like secure the tome, but also fight this very powerful magician after we've just been through his whole house. I thought it was really exciting, like not knowing where we were going, worrying about hitting the ground and splattering. Ellis at the very bottom, like exhibiting this huge show of power by like exploding the collector's head. I thought it was all like very cool, like defining moment for Ellis, and like one of our first like extremely gory moments. And it just happened after this like wonder house. I thought it was a really nice like timing for a fight like that. It was really cool.
I think the lobster fight in
Ooh.
like the cave cove area, that was just a really nice like, what's up, motherfuckers? We're playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
It's a big lobster fight. I like that Dungeons and Dragons is a world that sometimes it doesn't need a lot of like why is this fucking thing here right now? It's just like, because it is, and it's time to fight a lobster. And I thought the magnetic like element to it too was like really, really, really fun. I remember Emil getting super fucked up in that fight.
It seems to be happening a lot. Like okay, but yeah, go on.
A bit. But no, I like a big chunker fight. Like fighting a big chunker. Ooh, love a big chunker.
I think the final fight at the collector is definitely top for me. But since you already said it, Kenny, I'll say another one. Whenever we fought the pixies, I thought that was just very silly. Like in my head, the background music was just like cartoony, carnival-y type. While in the moment while it was happening. Yeah, I like that one a lot. And then also it was I guess it was kind of one of our earlier fights as a group. And it was definitely the first time we see Emil kind of more of his mutant self when he took a bite out of the main pixie.
Nanny,
yeah. So yeah, I think that one's the top one for me.
I think mine would probably, honestly, hearing the question, the chase scene was really through the woods, like in my mind, has been one of the most like visually like potent thing. Like I visualized it so well in my head of like what exact, I hope it translated to audio format, but like in my head, like seeing the displacer beast like flicker through the woods and coming, trees flickering by, and in my head I visualized it really well. And also I think chases can be like really monotonous sometimes in D&D, and so it was hard to be like, how do we keep the like urgency of like you are being chased like high priority in your mind. So I hope that all translated, but that one I think was one of my first ones where I was like, okay, a little pat on the back, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was cool. I could like see that one as a painting or an animation for sure.
Wink, wink, viewers, listeners.
Well, that's the Mistfall arc, everyone. We met our heroes. We kind of went into the woods and back again. I didn't mean to quote the Broadway show, but I did. Then we went into the woods and back again. We went to the Collector's Chateau. We did a lot of things with the Academy. And then we leave the city of Mistfall for the city of Enzor. And that's it for tonight's episode of DD&D. One of the first things that the four of us did together when we started creating the show was an exercise to create a vision statement for This Could Get Dicey. Through a bit of work, we settled on This Could Get Dicey as an accessible, joyful storytelling medium where we fulfill our dream of playing D&D as a friend group for an online audience. TCGD listeners know our characters, players, and DM as beloved and enjoy an imperfect game played imperfectly. So that's like kind of the vision statement we came up with. I hope we've kind of stuck to that for all of you listeners out there. We greatly appreciate the amount of support we've received so far from you. And it's a dream come true, like Becky said, to record this podcast and share it with you. We have no plans of slowing down. If it's possible for you in your budget, our Patreon is another way just to show us that you want the show to continue and grow. Please consider giving monthly if you can. Any level that's there, please give so we can do things like upgrade our audio equipment or add sound effects, whatever is going to be next that comes for us. Consider giving if you can to our Patreon. So again, thank you. We've loved this first year of making This Could Get Dicey, and here's to many more. Huzzah and cheers, everyone.
Huzzah!
Thanks, everyone.